Welcome back to For Your Heart and Home. My name is Dee Dee. Welcome into my kitchen. Today in my kitchen, I'll be working with freshly milled flour and I'll be using it to make some homemade raviolis. I've shared on here a few times before how I use my bread machine to make various things in my kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how I use my bread machine to make freshly milled durum wheat flour raviolis. I'm going to start by measuring my ingredients, and I'm going to mill those ingredients in my NutriMill Harvest. I will have the ingredients listed in the description box below. I will also place it on the screen for you to do a screenshot so you can save the recipe. This is a very basic pasta recipe, and durum wheat has been my go-to wheat for making pasta. I know that other people use other wheats, but I find durum to be reliable, and I just buy it in large quantities so that I can make pasta whenever we need it. So for this recipe, I'm going to be using approximately 2 cups of freshly milled durum wheat flour. So on my scale, I'm measuring approximately 380 grams of durum wheat. I'm going to get that into my NutriMill Harvest, and then I will continue with the recipe. While that is milling, I'm going to add the following ingredients to my bread pan. I'll be using 2 large eggs. I will start with 3 tablespoons of water and a half teaspoon of salt. When using your bread machine, you want to put the liquids in first and then add the flour on top. As I stated before, I'm starting with 3 tablespoons of water, but as my dough was mixing in my bread machine, it was pretty evident that I needed to add more water. So eventually I added about 6 more tablespoons of water. You will have to watch your bread machine because it all depends on the type of bread machine you're using. It depends on the conditions in your home, how much water is needed, but you're going to look for a dough that comes together nicely. I'm using my bread machine to knead and mix the dough together, but I am not using a full dough cycle, which lasts approximately 1.5 hours for this pasta dough. If I leave my ingredients in my bread machine for 1.5 hours, then my dough will not be pliable and it will be overworked. So I'm only going to run my dough cycle for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it off. Once the dough comes together, that is enough for me. I'm going to pull it from the bread machine and then hand knead it for another 10 minutes or so. Then I will let my dough rest. So about 15 minutes have passed and now my dough has come together slightly. Then I'm going to do the hand kneading. So the bread machine is optional. I use it so that it can initially pull the dough together for me, but you could go straight to just hand kneading this dough. After doing the hand kneading, I'm going to wrap my dough in a zip top bag and then I'm going to let it rest for 30 to 45 minutes. This is a wonderful time to work on the filling that you're going to be using for your ravioli. I'm using a basic cheese filling for this, and I'm mixing cheddar cheese, mozzarella cheese, and an egg with a bit of salt and black pepper. Traditionally, ravioli calls for a soft cheese like a ricotta cheese. I just didn't have any on hand today, but you can choose whatever filling works best for you and your preferences. So I just want to give you a quick peek at what the dough looks like after hand kneading for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. You're looking for something smooth and easy to work with. So here are the exact measurements for the cheese filling that I'll be using. Again, you can adjust this to whatever you have on hand or the preference. I'm using about 1 cup shredded mozzarella. A low moisture mozzarella would be wonderful for this because it's not going to add too much moisture to your filling. However, since I was not using ricotta, I chose to use a high moisture mozzarella for this because I did need the moisture in this recipe. So I'm using 1 cup shredded mozzarella, 1 cup shredded cheddar, an egg for binding, some salt, black pepper. You can also add garlic powder or dried herbs. I also put some parsley in. Whatever flavorings sings for you, you can go ahead and use that in this case. So I'm just going to pull this together quickly and then I'm going to work on the dough. Once my dough was ready, I rolled it out using my manual pasta maker. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I have the Philips 7000 pasta machine that works great for extruding pasta. I'm using my manual machine today because this is what is going to be filling my raviolis. So I'm using my manual pasta maker to make pasta sheets, similar to what you would make if you were making homemade lasagna. I'm simply going to put my manual pasta maker on the largest setting, which is number 1, and then I'm going to gradually move it back so that it will continuously flatten my dough. I'm going to pass through this a few times and lay my pasta down so that it can dry. You don't have to do this, but I'm doing this step again because I'm using a filling that is different from what you would traditionally use. So this is what it looks like once I have rolled out my sheet of pasta. I should note that this ravioli recipe makes a small amount of ravioli depending on the size ravioli that you make. I will show you that with my manual pasta maker, it makes ravioli bites, and so that's perfect for young children. But then I went ahead and made larger raviolis with it towards the end, so you have the option and you will yield ravioli amounts based on the size ravioli you choose to make. So with my filling complete and my pasta sheets ready, it is time to make these raviolis. Now this manual pasta machine is very simple to use. You're going to take your sheet of pasta, you're going to look for the middle, you're going to drape it over your machine, put the filling in the middle, and start rolling. As you roll it, your ravioli will be filled and will come out the other end. And then you're just going to have to separate it into individual bites. So this is what it looks like when it comes out. And then I'm going to use my pasta roller and just go over the edges since they don't come out clean. It still comes out like a sheet. I'm just going to roll my pasta roller over the indentations and then pull them apart. This is what it looks like. They're just bite-sized pieces. Again, this is perfect for young children, toddlers. The addition of the freshly milled flour and the filling that I used made for a very filling pasta. So now I'm going to show you how you can make ravioli without the machine. After you've made your pasta sheets, you can just lay them on your surface. Then you're going to manually put scoops along your surface, and you're going to lightly brush the edges with water. I'm just using my fingers, but you can use a brush to lightly brush water along the edges to ensure the seal. If you're using the machine, you don't have to worry about sealing because it seals as it's rolling through the machine. But if you're doing it manually, then you definitely want to seal your ravioli edges. So for my sheet length that I had, I'm going to make about 4 individual raviolis. I'm going to take some water, I'm going to seal around the edges, take a second sheet of pasta, cover it over, and then I'm going to come through with my pasta cutter and seal the edges. It's a very simple process once you get the groove of what you're doing. So I'm just going to do this until I have used up all my dough. This is what it looks like in larger form. So the bite-sized pieces again work great for a quick snack or lunch, and then the larger ones would work for a dinner or more substantial meal. This is what the larger one looked like when I made that one by hand. So here you have it on my plate. I showed you the 2 sizes. The pasta machine itself makes the bite-sized pieces, and I made the larger pieces by hand. Preparing them is very simple. You're going to bring a pot of salted water to a boil, and you're going to cook the ravioli for 3 to 5 minutes until they are floating and are tender. After that, you can dress them like you would dress any other ravioli. You can toss them in some olive oil with some garlic or other herbs. You can toss them in your favorite pasta sauce, whatever way you would normally dress ravioli, you can go ahead and dress them that way. Today I'm serving it for lunch with a simple salad, and I also made some calzones for lunch this day. So for my lunch, I had a half a calzone with the ravioli and a fresh salad. So I hope that today I was able to share with you how I used my bread machine to make pasta, and I used that pasta to make homemade raviolis. These are all made with freshly milled flour, and they turned out really well. I hope you give this recipe a try. I will put the list of ingredients in the description box down below. I will also place it here on the screen for you so that you have the full list of ingredients as well as the full set of steps for making homemade ravioli. If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to know more about, feel free to check the description box down below. And if you have anything further, you can leave a comment down in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.